again and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And today I'm going to talk about a very divisive album, a very polarizing album, and that is Load by Metallica. In the last episode, it wasn't the last episode, but the last Metallica episode I did, I talked about the Black Album, the self-titled album from 1991, which is also pretty polarizing or divisive, whichever words you prefer. I'd say this is even more. It is for me, definitely. And I think most Metallica fans would agree that this album was, well, I won't complete that thought, but I'll talk about it now. So this album, Load, it came out in 1996. And at that point, you know, Metallica, God, I'm very repetitive talking about this. And I don't want to rehash the whole Black Album episode I did. But at that point, I got into Metallica in 1983. And I should do something with my dog. He always barks when I'm doing these episodes. And now I've lost track. Like I did with the Slayer South of Heaven episode. Disaster that was. Focus! All right, so the Black Album came out, and a lot of people, especially old school Metallica fans at that time, didn't like it. I loved it, but it was the first Metallica album, as I said, that had two songs on it, which were Through the Never and Don't Tread on Me. It was the first Metallica album that had songs that I didn't love. Well, for me, this one, Load, it's the first Metallica album that had songs that I didn't even like. Through the Never and Don't Tread on Me. I don't think they were bad songs. I can kind of judge a song, how much I like it by how well I know the lyrics and how quickly I can learn the lyrics. And then, and even now, I still don't really know the lyrics to Through the Never and Don't Tread on Me. And there are a few on this album, at least two songs, I think they borderline suck. It's the first Metallica album that had songs that I thought, these songs shouldn't even be on this record. And I think the album would have been, for me, would have been better served and shorter and more concise if those songs had been left off. Here's your chance to predict what songs those are that the first time Metallica had songs that I didn't like. You've got probably several minutes at least before I get to them to guess what songs they are. So there was that for me, and also I made this very clear. Metallica, the Black Album, that is clearly a metal album. It's a heavy metal album. It's not thrash metal, but it is definitely metal. A lot of people call it rock or hard rock, even pop, which is idiotic and imbecilic and moronic, or any other words that end in IC you want to use to say that. That's what I think about that. And now this one, Load, to me it's still not hard rock. To me, hard rock is like AC/DC, Van Halen, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue. To me, hard rock is more like party music about chicks and drinking and good times and anthemic songs like that. So I don't think Load is hard rock. I think it is still a metal album, but not heavy metal, but some kind of metal, maybe alternative metal or something. And there were some aspects about this album. Overall, I do like it more than I dislike it, but there were some things about this album that I didn't really like, and I'll talk about those now. Well, I guess one thing really, they had a very different look on this record. And a lot of people like to say, I don't listen with my eyes, I listen with my ears. And well, I don't think that's always true. I think you can't help but be influenced by a band's look, by their image, by their videos, by the record cover. Bands spend, especially big bands like Metallica, they spend a lot of money and put a lot of effort into marketing themselves visually and in addition to their music. And to me, this was, as much as you want to shit on the Black Album and call it pop or whatever you want to call it, at least, they still, God, this sounds so stupid, but they had long hair, they wore black, they looked like a metal band, they just weren't playing thrash metal anymore. This album, it was pretty different in my opinion then, and I think now it hasn't really changed much. On the one hand, it didn't really bother me, it didn't affect what I thought about the music, but on the other hand, I did kind of think it was stupid and it was too much all at once. And I don't care that they cut their hair or if they had short hair, I don't care about that. But just the image and the cigars, they're smoking cigars in so many of the pictures contained within this. And, they were wearing makeup. And I wasn't to the point where I was like, fuck you, Metallica, you're wearing makeup, you're fucking posers. I wasn't like that. But it was more like an eye-rolling thing where I thought, it's a little bit too much. And I know James Hetfield, in later years, subsequently said that he didn't even like that. He just kind of went along with it. I guess it was Lars and Kirk that were into that, more the image. And they wanted to be seen as kind of edgy and even slightly gay and everything. And Hetfield didn't like it, wasn't even including the album cover. Hetfield wasn't fully on board with it. I would say I'm kind of in that same boat. It didn't bother me enough that I said this album sucks, but I did, it did kind of leave a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. And I'll show you, even though you know what they look like. They look like they look like this, and that's kind of a tame picture, I guess. Here's a. Let's see what else. Yeah, really, really bad looks. Yeah, Lars with the makeup, the eyeliner, like J.D. Vance, J.P. Mandel, is that his name? I think it is J.D. Mandel. I'm not sure what that guy's name is. You know what they look like. Yeah, just douchey. The suspenders and the cigars, douchey maybe I think is the best word. But I don't know. Now live, I didn't. This was also, I guess, for me at the time when I kind of, I didn't really give up on Metallica. I did really still like them then, but they, for me at this point, I think were no longer my band. They were just another band that I liked. I think up to that point, maybe even the Black Album, I kind of felt like that. But from Kill 'Em All through Master of Puppet, or let's say through Justice for All, they were like my band. This was like the band that I really, had a strong attachment to. And by this point, they were just another band that I liked. And I did have tickets to see them on this tour. It was going to be in Hamilton, Ontario, sometime maybe in early 1997. I think it was in the winter, January, February, maybe March or April. Maybe that's getting into spring. And I had tickets for it, and I didn't go. I can't remember if I gave them away or sold them or what I did. I had my ticket, and I was supposed to go with my friend Pete. And I guess, I bought the tickets months in advance, and then when the concert came, whenever it was going to be, I just didn't really feel like going. I just thought, I wasn't like, fuck Metallica. I'm not, I wasn't boycotting them. But I guess at that point, I just thought, I'm not really interested. So I passed stupidly now, to think that I passed on Metallica. But I did. So I don't know if I gave my ticket away. I think I did give it away. I can't remember who, but maybe one of Pete's, his uncle, maybe? I can't remember. I did the same thing with Rolling Stones. When I bought Rolling Stones tickets also with Pete in 1989 for the Steel Wheels tour, and then the concert came around and I thought, I don't really want to go see the Rolling Stones. Stupid. So that's it for Load. And this is a very, very, as I said, going back to the Black Album, I don't understand people that were so angry and gave up on Metallica at that point. This one I can understand. I wasn't one of them, the anti-Metallica people, because despite all the things I've said, I do like this album, but I can understand that people finally gave up on Metallica during this period, and I guess this extended into Reload also. But yeah, this is a big surprise. And also, well, before I get to that, I talked also about if you go from album to album, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, Justice for All, Black Album, there's not too much change. If you go from Kill 'Em All to the Black Album, there's a big change. If you go from Black Album to Load, which is only one album later, there's also a pretty big change. That was, is, I think, the biggest change from one album to the next in Metallica's catalog, for sure. This album was much more different from the Black Album than the Black Album was different from And Justice for All. That's what I think. I was going to say, also, I noticed with this when I got this out today, I've talked about this a few times. I used to date my, I didn't go on dates with them. I used to write the date on them when I got CDs or albums, and I bought this on June 4th, 1996, which was the day it came out. Back then, I used to buy a lot of records. That was when records used to be released on Tuesdays. And this was highly, highly anticipated for me. And I did go and buy it. And I remember the first time hearing Until It Sleeps, which was the first single, which probably came out, I guess, a few weeks or a month back then. I guess that was typical. The lead single and video for a bigger band like Metallica would debut a few weeks or a month before. And when I first heard Until It Sleeps, should I say it now, or I'll say it now, and then when I get to the song I can talk a little bit more. I thought it sounded like Dokken, Dream Warriors. If anybody, I'm sure a lot of you, I know nobody's watching this, except Mike Pratt. Dokken, Dream Warriors, or I should say Until It Sleeps, reminded me of Dokken, Dream Warriors. And I remember my friend Pete, who I was supposed to go see Metallica with on this tour that I mentioned earlier, I believe it was that Friday. So if this album came out on Tuesday, June 4th, must have been that Friday for sure. No, you know what? This would have been the Friday after this song Until It Sleeps first debuted. Because if this album came out weeks or a month later, Pete would have already heard Until It Sleeps for sure. So on a Friday night, Pete and I were driving we lived in Toronto, and we were driving to his family's cottage on a Friday afternoon. Nice Friday afternoon, probably, I guess it was in May. And I had heard Until It Sleeps, and I remember in the car we were talking about it, he said, so what do you think about it? And I think he hadn't heard it at that point. And I said, it sounds like it reminded me of Dokken, Dream Warriors. And he was like, what are you talking about? Metallica sounds like Dokken? I said, yeah. And then I think it was on that ride that we heard it on the radio. Maybe it had just come out that day, I don't know. And then he said, yeah, you're right. That kind of does remind me of Dream Warriors by Dokken. And I still I don't really think that now. I don't really hear it as much now. But I do still remember thinking about that. All right? And you know what? I think another reason why, subconsciously, why I didn't like this record as much, and maybe a lot of people didn't too, just looking at it now, they changed their logo. You know, they'd have the same logo from Kill 'Em All through even the Black Album. They changed it a little bit, you know, in some cases like Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets and Justice, it was kind of a 3D looking, whereas on Kill 'Em All it was more just like a flat, but it was still the same logo. But at this time they'd changed their logo, and I'm not going to see this album go, what? They changed their logo? This album sucks. This band sucks. Fuck you, Metallica. I'm never listening to you again. I didn't think that, and I wouldn't think that, but maybe it kind of creeps into your subconscious. Again, you know, bands do all these things and make these changes to get noticed, and, you know, that could be good or bad. But I think this kind of signal, this kind of this logo went hand in hand. You associated it with their new look. And maybe that's what they were going for. You know, they thought, we don't look the way we did on And Justice for All, so we think our logo should be different. I don't know what they were thinking. I'm just saying that that's a possibility. Can I finally get to the track by track? And it's a long one. Oh, no, before I do, I should say also, this album is long. This is the longest Metallica album. This is whatever the capacity for CDs is. I guess originally it was 74 minutes, and then some years later they expanded it to 80 minutes. This album is 80 minutes, or probably, you know, 79 minutes and 55 seconds. And the last song, The Outlaw Torn, they had to cut some of it off to fit it onto one CD without the CD having some kind of malfunctions or something. And then the full version of Outlaw Torn was on one of the singles. Maybe it was Until It Sleeps, or I'm not sure. And it's just a little bit longer, like an extra minute longer, just them jamming. And 79 or 80 minutes, it's just too long for a record. 14 songs, that combined, 14 songs and 79 minutes, it's just too long. This was the first Metallica album, I think, that was too long. After they had shortened it and tightened it up a little bit with the Black Album. And I think really every Metallica album since then has been too long, including the ones that I love. They're just too long. I talked about that with 72 Seasons. It's just exhausting, and it doesn't invite multiple listens. Now can I get to the track by track? Okay, I will. So the first song is, there is something I want to say. One thing that I got, this is when I should take notes. I feel like, you know, I'm so familiar with this album, I don't need notes, but I keep thinking of things that I want to say. So maybe I should start to take notes about albums that I'm really familiar with. I love Kirk Hammett. I don't think I've said this before. I think Kirk Hammett is fucking awesome. I don't care if you think he's talented or not talented. I don't care if you think he makes a lot of mistakes. He does, whatever. Kirk Hammett is one of my favorite guitarists ever. His solos are, I love his solos. They're memorable. I think they sound fucking awesome, including on 72 Seasons. But on this album, there's maybe one song. No, there is one song where part of the solo stands out. Other than that, there's really nothing no leads that Kirk Hammett does on this record that really stood out to me. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying this album sucks because of Kirk Hammett's leads, but when I listen to it, I think there's something missing, and it's that Kirk Hammett's, I'm not saying he's not talented, I'm not saying he sucked on this record or he didn't put any effort into it. There's just nothing really for me that caught my attention in terms of leads. And I think like that with Lars on 72 Seasons. Lars, I think Metallica, Lars always had great drums and great drum sounds, and his fills were great. And there's not really any memorable drum parts on 72 Seasons. I don't want to talk about 72 Seasons again. The drums on this album are the opposite of Kirk's guitar solos. I think the drums on this album, both the sound and the playing, are as good as anything. Lars is one of my favorite drummers too. Laugh if you will, but I think Lars plays amazing drums. That's what I think, including on this album. So Kirk, I feel like he's he's not well represented on this album, except for one song. And I know what that song is, and I'll try to remember it when I get to it. All right, so the first song is Ain't My Bitch. Now, I remember when I first saw the track listing for this record or heard it, I thought, Ain't My Bitch? What is this? Who are you, Metallica? You have a song called Ain't My Bitch? That sounds like it's a Motley Crue song or a bad Gene Simmons song or something. And that kind of, raised my eyebrow a little bit. Again, it didn't turn me off, but it did kind of make me wonder, is this who, what kind of band are they turning into? Having said that, I think Ain't My Bitch is a great song. I love it. There's nothing on this album that is, really reminiscent of Metallica in the past. But Ain't My Bitch is, it's not heavy. There's really not too much heavy stuff on this record. But I think it's a great song. Out of My Way, Out of My Day, Out of Your Mind and Into Mine. Is that what it is? Into No One, Into No Fun, Into No Stop, Who cares? I can't remember. Now, God, I keep thinking more things. Maybe another reason why I didn't love this album as much as other ones. This is the first Metallica album that they didn't put the lyrics in. Now, this booklet is really thick, and they did put part of the lyrics. So for Ain't My Bitch, for example, they just put damn it all down, damn it unbound, damn it all down to hell again. That's it. 2x4, the joy of violent movement pulls you under. So I maybe, I used to, and kind of still do to some extent, like to sit down with the record or the CD and listen to it and, go along with the lyrics and, and it gives me more of a connection with the record. And, just putting one line from each song, that kind of turned me off too. All right, so getting back to the track by track. Next is 2x4. God, I'm all over the place. Ain't My Bitch is an example of, Kirk again, going back a little bit. The guitar solo in Ain't My Bitch, it's slide guitar, and I didn't like that, and I still don't like it. I love Ain't My Bitch, but the guitar solo, it's just not. Slide guitar on a Metallica album is not bad. Slide guitar in this song, I just didn't really like it, and still don't like it. Next is 2x4, and after all these years, I still don't know why it's called 2x4 or what 2x4 is meant to represent. But I do like it. I love that, the drum intro. I love 2x4. That's so bad. Whatever. 2x4 is a great, great song. I'm gonna take you, make you, shake you. I'm gonna be the one who breaks you, put the screws to ya. Yeah, my way. Yeah, come on, come on. Come and make my day. 2x4 is excellent. Next is it The House That Jack Built? Yeah, the house, not the house that Jack built, just the house Jack built. Open doors so I walk inside. Open doors so I walk inside. Find my place to hide. This song is okay. I don't like it as much as Ain't My Bitch or 2x4. But the higher you are, the farther you fall. The longer you walk, the farther you fall. See, again, I don't know the lyrics that much. Yeah, House Jack built. It's pretty good. Not my favorite, but it's fine. Next is Until It Sleeps. I love Until It Sleeps. I think it's an incredible song. Maybe, possibly, there are maybe 4 on this record that I can't decide which are my favorite. Until It Sleeps is one of them. I think it's just a great song. Different lyrics for Metallica, kind of, is it introspective? I guess it's Hetfield singing about his anger and his kind of depression and I guess holding it all inside. I think there's something to do with his mother, anger towards his mother, or because his mother was a Christian Scientist or Jehovah's Christian Scientist, I think, or whatever. What is Tom Cruise? Scientologist, something like that. And I guess his mother was like that, and he was brought up like that. So I think a lot of that is his anger. Great lyrics. This album maybe doesn't have the best lyrics, or maybe it's just because I'm not familiar with them, but I think the lyrics to Until It Sleeps are great. So tear me open, pour me out. There's things inside that scream and shout, and the dirt still stains me. So wash me until I'm clean. Great song. Until It Sleeps is excellent. Next is King Nothing. Enter Sandman Part 2. And it's funny, they are really, really, really similar. Like really, I mean, like shockingly similar. And funny that Enter Sandman is one of the biggest metal songs ever. And King Nothing is just kind of a Metallica single that never really made too much of an impact. And you know, and I guess it's a little nod. I've never heard them address it, but there's a little nod at the end of King Nothing. Hetfield kind of says very quietly, off to Never Neverland, which I guess is their little tip of the hat or their nod that they were aware that King Nothing really, really sounds like Enter Sandman. A couple of things about that. There's some little, God, when is it? This is when I should write notes. After the first chorus, between the first chorus and the second verse, and then again, no, I think it's the first one is before the lyrics come in or the vocals come in, and then the second one is between the first chorus and the second verse. There's these little kind of leads, little licks that Kirk Hammett plays that just like in Enter Sandman. Also, King Nothing, like Enter Sandman, has kind of a fake ending, and then it goes in again and becomes heavier again. So very good, and it's got the same pace. They're both around the same length. King Nothing is 5:28. And I really remember stupid things. I want to say Enter Sandman is 5:32. I might be wrong, but I think it's 5:32. So very, very similar, Enter Sandman and King Nothing. And what do I think of King Nothing? It's pretty good. I'd put it in the same category as The House Jack Built. It's good, not my favorite. Next is Hero of the Day. I love this one. This is a great song. I think Hero of the Day is great. It's one that's a little bit of a quiet song, but also a little bit heavy. I remember it had a cool video. They had a lot of videos from this album, at least 4 anyway. Mama, They Try and Break Me. Yeah, Hero of the Day. They're off to find the hero of the day. Yeah, good song. Next is Bleeding Me. This is also maybe a contender for my favorite song on this album. This is maybe the closest. There are a few, shades of the old Metallica on Load. Many more on the Black album, but on this one, there are not nearly as many. Bleeding Me is one. It's not fast, it's not thrashy, but there's, man, the great part in this song is that kind of towards the middle, or maybe even closer to the end, that just, oh, the bleeding of me, when it ends with that lyric and then the song kind of stops. There's a pause and then that great riff. And then the lyric is, I am the priest that feeds the beast. I am the blood, I am release. I am what is it? I am the priest that feeds the beast. I am the blood, I am release. Come make me pure, bleed me, I'm cure, bleed me a cure. I'm caught under. That part. That's, for me, that's, could I say that's as good as anything Metallica, or I like it as much as Metallica, as anything Metallica did? Yeah, Bleeding Me is great. And now, was it Bleeding Me that also had that great solo that I mentioned earlier? The one that stood out in this record? No, it's another song. I'll get to that. Yeah, so Bleeding Me is great. Love it. It's a long one, and I can't say enough good things about Bleeding Me. The next, so this would have been the second half of the record, or if you had the vinyl, I guess it would be the second record, is Cure. This is, this is close to being one that I think the album would have been better off without. There are two that I definitely don't like. Cure is kind of right on the cusp of one that I think would have been better off left off. And the album would have been shorter, and I would have focused more on the songs I like. It's okay, Cure, but that, you know, that drum intro, it's just so basic, so simple for Lars. Not that he plays complex, and, you know, I'm not here to dissect whether he's a good drummer or a good musician, but it just sounds like such a simple drum beat. Not what you, it's not a fill, it's a drum beat. And it's just very, very simple. I don't even remember. How does Cure go? No, that's Thorn Within. What is Cure? God, I'm gonna have to look at the line of the lyrics. What did they put here? Yeah, uncross your arms, take and throw them to the Cure. Say, I do believe. Yeah, that song. It's. Maybe it's better than I thought, but one of the lesser songs on this album for me, all right? Next is Poor Twisted Me. This song sucks. I really don't like anything about Poor Twisted Me. This is one of the two, and this one probably more than the other one, and you might know what the other one is. I think some of you might think you know what it is, but you'd be wrong. Yeah, Poor Twisted Me, the first Metallica song, I would say that I think sucks. It doesn't, for me, doesn't do anything for me. It's got kind of a bluesy feel for me. There's nothing that gets my attention. It's got that weird vocal effect. It's a 0 for me. Poor Twisted Me, get it out of here. I don't like it. Next is Wasting My Hate. I would say Wasting My Hate. There was a point where it was probably my favorite song on this record. I still do like it a lot, but it's not quite my favorite. This, I think, is the one overall as a song. As I said, Bleeding Me had a little bit of, you know, some flashes of old Metallica. What song am I talking about? Oh, Wasting My Hate. For me, this one from beginning to end, almost beginning, was like, okay, this is, you know, how Metallica should be. It's not thrash metal, but I guess it was as close as they got. It's got a great riff in it, and it had feel kind of sings kind of angry. It's a little bit more up tempo, fast. Good Day. Now that's a strange vocal. Good day, how do, and I send my smile to you. Don't waste your breath, and I won't waste my hate on you. Very good. I think just a few, maybe even one tweak away from being like classic old Metallica. Next is Mama Said. Love it. This, I forgot about this. This is potentially a favorite too. I think Mama Said is a great song. Very different from Metallica, just like Nothing Else Matters was. Mama Said is maybe even more, you know, farther away from what you would have expected to hear from Metallica. But I think Mama Said is a great song. Again, had to feel with the more, you know, introspective lyrics, not the lyrics that you would have expected from Kill 'Em All through and Justice for All. Yeah, Mama Said is fantastic. Love it. Next is Thorn Within. This is the other song that I guess it sucks. I really just don't like Thorn Within. I think if they had left Thorn Within and Poor Twisted Me off, and maybe even Cure, the album, I'll say it again, would have been, obviously it would have been shorter, but I think I would have paid more attention to it. It would have been more, I'm repeating myself, but it would have been more concise. And just, you know, lyrically too, the opening line is, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." Not what you expect from James Hetfield, who writes pretty cool lyrics, and "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." It's just been done a million times. It's kind of just a boring, nothing song. Now it does have also a little bit of, for me, and I always thought this, I've never heard anybody talk about this before, and I'm not saying I'm original in my thoughts. This has, for me, a pretty clear, or is a clear reminder of War Machine by Kiss from Creatures of the Night. I mean, it's short, but it's there. Not the whole song, but just that riff, for me, always brings to mind when I listen to it today. I think every time I've listened to it, which is not very often in the last 28 years. I've always thought that it reminds me of War Machine from Creatures of the Night. Next is Ronnie. Ronnie, I think, is maybe the one, if you're playing along, that you thought I would hate. But I don't. Ronnie, at some point, was probably also another one of my favorites. I think at this time, maybe Ronnie and Wasting My Hate were my two favorites. I still like Ronnie a lot. Maybe it's still my top 5 from this album. Now, it is definitely a very different Metallica song, as is Poor Twisted Me. But for some reason, I love Ronnie. I just think it's kind of funny lyrics, almost like Pearl Jam, Jeremy type lyrics. I don't know who Ronnie is. I still don't know who it is after 28 years. I don't really know what it's about. I guess it's about a kid who, you know, goes crazy and starts shooting people. What's the opening lyric of Ronnie? Story starts, quiet town, small time boy, big time frown, never laugh, never plays, different path, lost his ways. And we all knew, I'm not going in order, but the other lyrics are, I guess he opens fire. Open fire when I hit the stage. Y&T. He opens fire, I guess, on people and kills them. And it's kind of, you know, lyrically it's very dark, but I think musically it's kind of a little bit of a kind of a fun, happy song as far as Metallica goes. What are the other lyrics for Ronnie? Now we all knew why they call him Ronnie Frown. When he pulled that gun from his pocket and they all fell down, down, down. He said, lost my way. He said, lost my way. Anyway, let me see if there's something that can jar my memory. Oh, just Ronnie, lost my way this bloody day. Ronnie is excellent. But I can understand if people don't like that, the old Metallica fans especially. I can see that, but I love it. And then the last song is The Outlaw Torn. This is another contender for one of my favorites. So we've got Until It Sleeps, Bleeding Me, and The Thorn Within. Now, over the years, it was Ronnie and Wasting My Hate. Thorn Within, it's got a little bit reminiscent of the old Metallica songs. It's like 10 minutes, what was it, 9:52, although they lopped it, but they had to lop about a minute off to make it fit on the CD. And it's actually really, I would say, kind of a bookend or a companion to Bleeding Me. They're both long. Bleeding Me was around 8.5, 8:18, and they're, I think, very similar. They have very similar structures. They're kind of quiet songs with great parts. Outlaw Torn is, what's the great part in Outlaw Torn? See Me, and If My Face Becomes Sincere, Beware. Oh my God, how can I forget this? I love this song. Hear Me, When You See Me Strut, remind me of this Outlaw Torn. The lyrics aren't in here, but yeah, that middle part of Outlaw Torn is very, very heavy. And it's a great song. Love it. So there we go. I feel like, again, like I blew it with this episode. I feel like I have so much to say about this record, and maybe I should start taking notes. But very, very strange album. I will admit that. As I said, I am much closer to... I like it, but it was a big change in direction for Metallica, and maybe what turned a lot of people off the Black Album, which was okay for me. I reached that point with Load. And I think I'm also going to I think I'm going to continue going with Metallica. Maybe every few episodes, whenever I feel like it. I've still got to go through Reload in order. Reload, Garage Inc., Stanger, Death Magnetic, and Hardwired, Ellipses to Self-Destruct. So in terms of Metallica, I'm going to do Reload next. What do I think about that? So there it is. The very long, the 78-minute, 55-second Metallica record called Load.